Hi everyone, welcome to the fourth webinar of a series of webinars conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming strategic case study examinations happening in May and August 2023. And my name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So by this time you should have watched the recorded versions of the webinars which we have conducted. Some of you might have attended all the previous three webinars live, and those who missed out on it can always go and check out the recorded versions, which can be found via our website, which is www.studyatTCS.com. Remember, the recorded versions are uploaded under the free content. Okay, so if I talk about what I've covered so far in the first webinar, I provided a 6-week study plan, thereby highlighting what you need to do on a weekly basis up until your exam. And in the second webinar, I took you through pre-scene analysis session. So out of the 4 pre-scene analysis sessions which we conduct for each case study, I covered one of the areas with the intention of ensuring that you gain somewhat of an understanding about Dasitruk, the company on which this time's case study is based on. And in the third webinar, which I said was the most important one, I highlighted answer planning as well as time management technique based on the questions and answers of a mini mock, and this mini mock can be found via our website under the free content. So I want you guys, or I invite you guys to go and check out the free content which can be accessed via the website. So looking at tonight's webinar, I'm going to focus on 2 main areas. So first things first, I'm going to take you through the examiner's comments because it's of utmost importance that you understand what is required from you. Because if you are in a position to adhere to the guidelines provided by the examiner, then you have an easy chance of passing the exam comfortably. And in the second part of tonight's webinar, I'll be highlighting about what you need to do to create a positive mindset as well as develop a higher level of confidence, because as per the CIMA examiner, confident students end up passing the exam. So in such a context, it's of utmost importance that you understand, or that you gain some knowledge about what you need to do to develop confidence both before the exam as well as whilst attempting your exam. So all these things will be covered in tonight's webinar. All right, so let's look at examiner's comments. So the examiner is talking about good answers. So if you are to develop a good answer, it needs to be relevant to the requirement. So, this is exactly what I've highlighted within the third webinar, answer planning, where I suggested that before you start typing the answer, you need to spend some time to understand the requirement clearly. So I hope you would have attended the third webinar or watched the recorded version of it, where when I was explaining how to develop answer plans, I took you through the questions and answers pertaining to the SCS mini mock. And, in that, I displayed to you how within a certain subtask, 2 or 3 areas can be tested. Okay, so there could be a situation where you are supposed to recommend something, and on top of that also highlight how this recommendation is gonna affect one type of, or 2 or 3 types of stakeholders. So within one single subtask, you might see different areas being tested, or a question being broken down into 2 or 3 elements. So you need to understand these things. So I've said that on a task by task basis, you need to allocate something like 5 to 7 minutes to understand the requirement clearly, or read through the entire scenario, go through the reference material, as well as try to invest some time to understand the requirement clearly. Because if you misunderstand the requirement, you end up providing a wrong answer, and then you won't pass your exam. So your answers need to be relevant to the requirement. And when developing your answers, you need to show that you have you possess a good understanding about technical areas such as E3, P3, and F3 syllabuses. So as I've told you earlier, a higher amount of weightage is provided for the E3 syllabus because that's where you learn all theory pertaining to strategy development, risk management, and whatnot. So you whenever you are developing your answers, you need to highlight that you have an appropriate level of technical knowledge. And when it comes to students coming through the exemption route, such as the FLP route or the CGMA route, most students, since they lack an understanding about technical areas, they end up failing their SCS exam. So if you have to develop good answers, you need to gain a good understanding about the technical theoretical content. And on top of that, just because you know your theory, you cannot pass the exam. You need to have an understanding about how to apply this knowledge to a certain problem or a scenario faced by Dasitruk. Okay, so as I told you earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, it's as if you are walking into office, opening up your laptop and checking your emails. So within these emails, the CFO or some type of a director will inform you about a certain opportunity at the company's disposal or some type of a problem faced by the company. So when providing solutions to these problems, as well as when coming up with recommendations, whenever the company is faced with an opportunity, you need to do it in a way that you display to the examiner that you have an appropriate level of technical knowledge, and on top of that, you know how to apply this technical knowledge to a real life business opportunity or a real life business problem. So all these areas, these two areas specifically, are covered via our master classes, because as you already know, if you had attended our previous webinars, you would know for a fact that we are conducting master classes with the intention of taking you through the questions and answers of all 5 mocks, at the same time teaching you theory as well as application. Okay, so we do not believe in a process where we the students need to be overburdened with theoretical content or a separate set of study material which are based on theoretical content. If you're attempting your OTQ exams, then you need to be really conversant about the technical nitty-gritties. But that is not the same when it comes to the strategic case study, because within a case study examination, you need to show to the examiner that you know your theory as well as you know how to apply this theory to a real life business problem. So these areas are covered via our master classes. So whilst taking you through the questions and answers, or whilst explaining the logic behind each each answer, we will be teaching you theory as well as application. So if you attend these master classes, you can improve your knowledge in these areas as well as improve your application skills. Especially these master classes are relevant for students who had failed their exams previously, or students coming through the exemption routes. Then you need to develop well structured answers to stand a chance to gain good marks. So um, and on top of that, when providing answers, you are not supposed to provide single lined or single sentenced answers, or you are not supposed to provide answers in bullet points. Instead, you have to develop paragraphs when developing your answers. So we highlighted an answer planning technique, and according to what I highlighted within the previous webinar, the third webinar, I said that before you start typing your fully fledged answer, you need to spend some time to develop something called an answer plan or an answer structure. So when developing this answer plan, what you are trying to do is you are trying to ensure that you come up with a high quality answer which is totally aligned with the requirement. Okay, so you spend some time to understand the requirement first, then move on to developing the answer plan. So when developing the answer plan, you are trying to fulfill the requirements, and on top of that, within the same time period, you are trying to figure out how pre-seen relevant information can be brought into your answer. So especially this is of utmost importance. So bringing in information from the pre-seen is of utmost importance at the SCS level. Why? Because you are playing the role of a senior finance manager who is reporting directly to the CFO or any other director within the company. So in such a backdrop, you need to adopt something called an outside in approach when it comes to decision making, when it comes to being involved with the strategic direction of the company. So what is an outside in approach? As a decision maker, you need to always think about how your decision is gonna affect the industry dynamics, how your decision is gonna affect different types of stakeholders. So all these stakeholders, and if you look at the industry in an overall sense, these are all external factors we are considered about, or we are considering about the external environment. So in order to ensure that your decisions or your recommendations are appropriate to the company, first things first, you need to understand whether or how your decision is gonna affect the external dynamics of the company. So that's what an outside in approach is about. So all decision makers, especially the board members, when taking decisions, they adopt something called an outside in approach. So how you bring in this type of an outside in approach to your answer is when you are supposed to when you are spending some time to develop an answer plan, and whilst developing the answer plan, please make sure to bring in information from the pre-scene. So you can allocate whilst thinking about or planning out your answer. You can always think about, okay, this question is about corporate governance. I'm just giving you an example. This question is about corporate governance. What is highlighted within the pre-scene about corporate governance? So you are supposed to bring in the relevant information and include it within your answer. So planning your answers or coming up with answer structures is of utmost importance. That's the quality time which you are spending to plan your answer, trying to figure out what type of points need to be highlighted, trying to figure out what type of information needs to come from the pre-scene. And whilst you have a structure at your disposal, expanding it, expanding the answer plan, or expanding each and every point which you have highlighted within the answer plan, and developing a fully fledged answer becomes a walk in the park. Because if you stick to our answer planning technique, you won't be typing as well as trying to think, because you can't multitask at the exam. Even if you are really good at multitasking, with exam pressure or with exam stress, you won't be able to do it. So that's exactly why we have asked you to allocate 30 minutes of your time to develop answer plans, and utilize the remaining 30 minutes to type the entire answer. So if you go through the third webinar, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So you're supposed to come up with well-structured answers, and let's assume that there are 8 answer points within your answer plan. In such a context, you need to have 8 paragraphs within the answer. So why am I suggesting something like this? Because it makes the invigilator's life easy. So the invigilator can easily count and see how many paragraphs are within your answer, and based on the paragraphs, the invigilator can easily see how many valid points we have made, and how many points are there which are actually irrelevant to the requirement or irrelevant to the scenario presented at the exam. Okay, so it's good to be in the good books of the invigilator. So try to make the invigilator's life easy. I've seen students, when developing answers, they try to write everything within one single paragraph, so that's an extremely lengthy answer. So in such a context, the examiner is not in a position, or the invigilator will have to spend some additional time to go through your entire answer and see, or pick and select all the information which you have presented. So although you are taking 3 hours of your time to attempt the entire paper, when it comes to invigilation, these invigilators only take something like 10 to 12 minutes to mark your paper. So within 10 to 12 minutes, these guys are under pressure to finish it off within a stipulated time. So in such a context, try to make their life easy. try to stick to the guidelines provided by the CIMA examiner. So you are supposed to provide headings and subheadings appropriately, and under each heading or subheading, you have to come up with answers in paragraph format. So stick to these guidelines which we have highlighted in webinar number 3. And if you keep on practicing these answer planning and time management technique every time whenever you are attempting a mock exam, then that's more than enough practice for you to master this technique and utilize it for your benefit at the real exam. For instance, if you attempt 5 mock exams, you'll be practicing this answer planning technique 15 times over. You'll be practicing this time management technique 15 times over. That's enough practice for you to walk into your exam and replicate the same methodology, because if you do, you'd save up a lot of time, you'd come up with high quality answers, and most our students easily pass the SCS exam as per our pass rates. But if you are to achieve the same type of results, you need to stick to our study plan, and you need to keep practicing the techniques which we have highlighted via the webinars. And if you do, you can easily pass the exam. And whenever you are bringing out an argument in your answer, you cannot simply bring out an argument. Instead, you have to back it up with appropriate justification, because as a senior finance manager, you can't simply dictate terms to the board members. Instead, you need to build up a proper justification whenever you are reporting to a board member, because based on the points which you have highlighted, based on the justifications you have highlighted, the board members will understand, or will gain a good understanding about the type of strategic direction they need to adhere to. Okay, so if you are supposed to come up with a good answer, you need to adhere to these guidelines. Then moving on, so the examiner is asking you to do these things before the exam. Okay, you are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So this is a killer, especially for students who are coming through the exemption route, because if you look at students coming through the general route, CIMA general route, they have done their OTQ exams, E3, P3, and F3, so they know their theory. So in such a context, these type of students, if they go through the revision cards which we have provided, you can easily brush up your knowledge after going through the revision cards. However, if you are a student who is coming from the exemption route, such as the FLP or the CGMA routes, then you will not possess all the information about syllabus areas, especially pertaining to syllabus content highlighted or covered under F3 and P3. So if you do not know your P3 properly, you are not in a position to provide good answers for questions related to stuff such as risk management, as well as setting internal controls, highlighting or evaluating the control environment of a company, coming up with risk mitigatory strategies, identifying risks. All these areas, you will not be too conversant in handling these areas, because you have not studied especially P3 and F3. So in such a context, you need to have a good understanding about theoretical elements. As I told you earlier, you need to know your theory in order to pass this exam. So in order to make your life easier, we are not providing you pages and pages of unnecessary revision notes and whatnot. We are not giving you unnecessary videos. Instead, if you attend the 5 master classes, you'll learn all the theory which you need to pass the SCS exam. Especially because when developing the 5 mock exams, we have ensured to cover all theoretical elements. So all theoretical areas pertaining to, or the syllabus content pertaining to E3, F3, and P3 are covered under our 5 mock exams. So if you attempt these mock exams as well as attend the 5 master classes which are conducted based on these 5 mock exams, you will learn your theory. So simply by watching these 5 videos or attending the live master classes, you can easily learn your theory as well as application. And before the exam, you have to work on your application skills as well, because your answer needs to make sense considering the information provided within the scenario. So you cannot bring in information which is not highlighted within the pre-scene or the question. So every time you are attempting a question, the examiner creates some type of a scenario. So whenever you are developing an answer, it needs to be totally aligned with what is highlighted within the scenario, as well as it needs to be aligned with the pre-scene. You cannot bring in information which does not appear within the scenario or the pre-scene. So these are your application, the needed application skills. So the best way to improve your application skills is to, again, by attending the 5 master classes, because as I told you earlier, via the 5 master classes we are teaching you theory as well as application, whilst taking you through the questions and answers of all 5 mocks. And the examiner also asks you to practice tasks. So that's exactly what we have been telling you throughout. You cannot expect to pass your exam however much however much the quality is with regards to the 5 mock exams you attempt. Without attempting mocks, even if you have the answers at your disposal, you can't pass the exam. Why am I suggesting this, or why am I saying this? It's simply because at the exam, you have to sit in one place and attempt the entire paper in one go, and you'll be exposed to exam stress. That's a given. And at the exam, you would figure out that your typing speed is not up to standard, or you might figure out that your answer planning technique needs to improve, or you might figure out that your time management technique needs to improve, or you'd encounter a situation where you are exposed to a brain freeze scenario. What does this mean? You cannot think anything. Your brain is not working. So these type of exam stress is common to see whilst attempting your paper. So in order to get rid of all these inefficiencies or issues, you need to keep on practicing mocks under simulated exam conditions. So what is a simulated exam condition? Where you allocate 3 hours of your time to attempt the entire mock exam in one go, just like what you do at the exam. And on top of that, it's better to use an exam platform which is similar to the Pearson VUE system you'd see at your real exam. So that's exactly what we are offering. If you go for the premium package offered by which is offered by TCS, you can attempt all 5 mock exams under exam conditions. Then you will, before the exam, way before the exam, whilst attempting the mock exams, you'll understand what your shortcomings are. Then you are in a position to you can do everything under your control to overcome these issues. All these things are done before the exam, rather than encountering your issues and at encountering your issues at the exam, and ending up failing the exam. So you are supposed to practice tasks. So if you practice 5 mock exams under our exam platform, you will be uh, developing answer plans 15 times over. You'll be expanding these answer plans 15 times over. And on top of that, you'll be continuously practicing the time management technique 15 times over. And once you get these things right, your exam is gonna be a walk in the park, because take it from me, if you champion the answer planning and time management techniques, and if you go through all 5 mock exams and the answer plans which we are providing, there's absolutely no chance that where you'd end up failing the exam, especially because the SCS exam is highly practical. So if you go through the 5 mocks and keep practicing the answer planning and time management techniques whilst attempting these 5 mock exams, that's all you need to pass the exam. And the examiner before the exam is asking you to type or write full answers. So what are full answers? A full answer is one which consists of your effort which you have given for 3 hours at a stretch. So when attempting mock exams, I've seen students attempting task number 1 today, task number 2 tomorrow, task number 3 day after tomorrow. But at the real exam, you have to attempt tasks 1, 2, and 3 at a stretch. So that's exactly what you need to do. That's what a full answer is about. So you have to sit in one place, allocate 3 hours of your time, and attempt the entire mock in one go. Okay, so that I'm not saying these things. It's the CIMA examiner who is asking you to do these things. All right, so that's what you're supposed to do before the exam. So what are you supposed to do during the exam? So during the exam, you are supposed to plan your answers appropriately. So I've seen students right after reading the question, they start typing the fully fledged answer straight away, and halfway through they might realize that that they are headed in the wrong direction, or they have not developed an answer which is in line with or which is aligned with the requirements highlighted. So then you end up deleting the answer. Then you know for a fact that you have to develop an answer from scratch, and this leads to panic leads to stress, and all these things will lead to brain freeze ultimately. And what happens when you cannot think? You'll panic further, and in such a context you will definitely fail the exam. So in order to avoid all these unnecessary distractions, what you need to do is you need to plan your answers. So that's exactly what we have highlighted. You need to stick to an answer planning technique, time management technique, and when attempting your 5 mock exams, if you keep on practicing these things, you can come up with better answer plans or high quality answer plans at your real exam. And also note that the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merit. So just because you provide paragraphs and paragraphs of irrelevant information, you are not going to get marks. Instead, the examiner is interested about the quality of your answer. So there could be students on a on a task by task basis. For instance, for task number 1, there could be students who come up with an answer which consists of 1500 words. However, just because you have a 1500 worded answer, if the quality is not up to par, you won't get any marks. Okay, so remember, it's not about the word count, it's not about having a word limit. Instead, it's about the uh, number of points which you have highlighted within each and every subtask, and the quality of these points which you have highlighted. So how can you get all these things right? By investing time to develop answer plans. If you get your answer plans right, typing becomes extremely easy. So you have to adhere to these things to be in a position to achieve the required level of success at your exam. All right, then talking further about the marking criteria, 2 markers will allocate marks before the final mark is finalized. This is done with the intention of achieving a higher level of transparency when it comes to marking. And mark allocation for each subtask appears as a percentage under each requirement. So those of you who attended the third webinar or who had already watched the recorded versions of the third webinar answer planning technique would know what this is about. So under each and every subtask, you'd see a certain percentage provided. So that is the weightage for each subtask. And based on this weightage, you are in a position to determine how many marks are allocated, because when developing answer plans, you need to understand how much marks are allocated for each subtask, and based on it only, you are in a position, you should determine how many points need to appear within your answer. So all these things were highlighted, or the theoretical elements, as well as I have explained how to apply these things, these techniques in a practical sense within the third webinar. So if you are yet to watch it, I urge you to do so right now. And marks are allocated based on merit. So the examiner picks quality over quantity. All right. So before we move forward, any questions, guys? Any questions? All right. So seems like there aren't any more questions. So okay, another question. What is the cost of the premium package? It's 550 pounds, and however, you can pay it in 3 installments. That's exactly what I'm gonna cover right now, Pam. Okay, so before we move on to the second part of tonight's webinar, let me quickly remind you about what we offer at TCS. So this is our page, the web page for SCS, as you can see. So if you access our website, by clicking on this button, you can check out the free content, which consists of a mini mock and its suggested answer, which is relevant for your SCS exam. And on top of that, you are in a position to gain the recorded versions of these 4 webinars under the free content. And before investing on our products, I invite you guys to check out our sample material by clicking on this button. And let me talk about the 3 courses which we are providing. The first course is known as the Essential Pack, which consists of the recorded versions of the 4 webinars, where we are highlighting the technical requirements which you need to fulfill when preparing for your exam. And you'd get your hands on the 5 mock exams with suggested answers. And as I told you earlier, these 5 mock exams have been developed covering all theoretical elements. So if you attempt these mocks under exam conditions, then you can easily pass the exam. And on top of that, to ensure that you gain an in-depth understanding about the entire pre-scene, we have conducted 4 pre-scene analysis videos as well. So all these material comes at a price of £99. Okay, and thinking about the suitability of the essentials pack, this package is suitable for students who are comfortable with 100% self-learning, because the essentials pack doesn't come with any type of mentoring related services. And on top of that, if you had aced your OTQ exams, if you're coming through the CIMA general route, and if you had gotten really good marks for E3, P3, and F3, and you did not pass any or did not fail any of your OTQ exams, then you should go for the essentials pack. So if you're comfortable with self-learning, if you are coming through the CIMA general route, and if you had aced your OTQ exams without failing any of them, then we urge you guys to go ahead with the essentials pack, because this is what you need to pass the exam. Looking at the second package, which is the value pack. So with under the value pack, you'd get the same type of material which are available under the essentials pack. On top of that, you'd get your hands on something called the annotated pre-scene. So let me take you through a sample. So this is the annotated pre-scene, and via the annotations, what we have done is, as you can see, we have summarized or brought out the most important information which you need to remember. And on top of that, via these summaries, whilst highlighting these points, important points, we have also highlighted the type of possible exam scenarios which can be thrown at you at the real exam. And on top of that, we have also highlighted any syllabus content which is tested. So if you go through the annotated pre-scene, then you'd have all the necessary information about the pre-scene. You need not refer any other material to gain an in-depth understanding about the external and internal dynamics of Dasitruk. All right, then you'd get your hands on the industry analysis cards. So, these are some samples of the industry analysis, cards which we offer. So please remember that these industry analysis cards are developed based on the real life industry dynamics. So these times case studies based on a logistics services provider. So within these, a set of slides, we have highlighted what actually happens within the real life logistics industry. So why do we develop these set of slides, industry analysis slides, with the intention of ensuring that you have an in-depth understanding about the industry dynamics. Because as I told you earlier, as a senior finance manager, you need to have an outside-in approach. You need to be conversant about how your decisions are going to affect the industry. So that's exactly what are covered within this set of slides. So via these slides, we have provided an overview into the industry. We have explained the competitive landscape about with regards to the real life industry dynamics. We have also highlighted industry trends, because these type of trends can be possible exam scenarios at your exam. And at the very end, we provide real life examples of two leading companies within a certain industry. Okay, so these are the industry analysis cards, and on top of that, under the value pack, you would get your hands on the financial analysis cards as well. So via the financial analysis cards, you'd gain, and if you go through these slides, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about the financial situation of the company. So we have conducted an analysis based on the SOPL, the SOFP, as well as changes of statement of changes in equity. So as you can see, under all these areas, the information is highlighted in a concise yet in an extremely understandable manner, so that you can easily understand what is highlighted within the financial statements. You need not do any type of evaluation, we have done it for you. And the same should be said about the ratio analysis. So all the ratios, the key ratios, are explained in depth, so that you gain a good understanding, and the same approach have been adhered to when it comes to the closest competitor of the company. Okay, so those are the financial analysis cards, and on top of that, you'd get your hands on top 20 likely issue slides, the case study familiarization kit, and you can access our tutors at any time via the chat, which is inculcated or integrated within the student portal itself. So if you have any concerns, or if you want some type of help in a certain area, if you opt for the value pack, you can simply access us via the chat, and we are more than happy to help you guys out. And on top of that, you would get your hands on the theory recaps pertaining to E3, P3, and F3 related syllabus content. So the value pack is priced at £199, and if you have coming through the CIMA general route, but if you had struggled with your OTQ exams, then you need some type of mentoring. So such students are invited to go for the value pack. And looking at the premium pack, it comes with all the material which I discussed under the value pack. On top of that, you would get access to the online mock exam platform or the learning management system. So when attempting the 5 mock exams, you can do it under exam conditions. As I highlighted earlier, the CIMA examiner wants you to attempt mock exams under simulated exam conditions. What better way to do it than attempting all 5 mock exams within our exam platform itself. Then we are providing one-to-one tutor feedback and tutor feedback, as well as marking on 3 mocks, namely mocks 3, 4, and 5. So you will receive personalized tutor feedback. As you can see in here, every paragraph is evaluated to figure out whether you have come up with proper answers or not. And in-depth explanations are provided whenever there are shortcomings. This is the best way for you to significantly improve the quality of your answers. And on top of that, at the very end, we give marked breakdowns on a subtask by subtask basis, and we provide something called a success rate as well, because if you look at the success rate, a student can easily determine or identify where their performance is not up to par on a subtask by subtask basis. So, after attempting the mock exam, and within 48 hours, you will receive tutor feedback. So after receiving tutor feedback, you'd know which subtasks you need to improve on. And rather than attempting the entire mock exam again, you can only focus on the areas where you really need to improve your performance. So actually, as you can see, the student had gained 67 marks for mock number 3, but in by mock number 5, the student got 83 marks, and at the real exam, the student ended up getting 81 marks and passing in the first instance itself. So if you stick to our process, definitely you are in a position to continuously improve yourself. You are in a position to learn your theory as well as application, improve all these skills, and if you do, you can easily pass the exam. And at the very end, we provide a set of general comments with the intention of further improving the quality of the answers. So that's what we offer under the premium package. So you'd get access to one-to-one tutor feedback, as well as marking on mocks 3, 4, and 5. And one of the most important resources are the answer plans, which we have developed for all 5 mock exams. So these answer plans are the answer structures which we have been talking about all this time. So if you gain access to these answer plans, it's as if you have a summary of all mocks at your disposal. And when you go through these answer structures, you will learn theory properly. You will learn when and where to bring in information from the pre-scene, and you'd also learn about how an answer structure needs to be developed, which is totally aligned with the requirements. So closer to the exam, rather than going through pages and pages of OTQ syllabus content, or trying to go through suggested answers of mocks, you have an answer summary at your disposal. So, allocating something like, if you allocate something like 1.5 hours, you can go through the answer plans of all 5 mock exams. So it's as if you are covering the entire CIMA syllabus, as well as going through exam specific and pre-seen relevant questions. Okay, so this is what you'd get your hands on if you go for the premium package, and you'd get access to the 12 master classes. So we have already conducted 2 live master classes, and the third one is happening next Thursday rather. So I hope you'd attend the third masterclass as well. And remember, even if you miss out these masterclasses, the recorded versions are uploaded onto your student portal, so you can easily catch up if you missed out on it. And if you still have any concerns, you can drop us a message via Twilio, and we will, I myself will be responding to your queries. And this comes with the monthly installment option. You can pay the total package price in 3 monthly installments, and this comes with a pass guarantee. So what is this pass guarantee? If you end up failing the exam after investing on the premium package, which is highly unlikely, yet if you do not stick to our study plan, and if you do not attempt our mock exams, you will end up failing. Even if you do, you will gain access to the same material in your subsequent session, same package rather, in your subsequent session. So that's what the pass guarantee is about. So the first installment is £99, and the 2 remaining installments amounted to £225 each, needs to be paid in months 2 and 3. And remember that all products are available until the 31st of August. So even if you're planning to do your exams in August, you can invest right now and start preparations early. All right. So, and on top of that, please check out our study plan, which can be found on our website itself. So according to the study plan, we are in week number 4. You have already attended the webinar, but within this week, you are supposed to attend mock 4, and within 48 hours you will receive tutor feedback. And after going through tutor feedback, and after checking out the success rates for each and every subtask, the remaining time within this week needs to be allocated towards improving your answer planning technique, because that's the most important thing. So try to understand the shortcomings within this week pertaining to mock number 4, and by towards Saturday and Sunday, you can work on further improving the quality of your answer plans. So as you can see, if you stick to our study plan, you just need to allocate 7 hours of your time. And if you're yet to attempt any mock exams, then you should start right now, because you don't have enough time at your disposal. You have something like 3 weeks until your exam. So if you are to attempt 5 mock exams and really benefit from the process, it's prudent for you guys to start attempting at least 2 mock exams this week onwards. Okay, so in the coming week, it's prudent for you guys to attempt mock number 1 and 2, and the week after mocks 3, 4, and in the last week just keep one single mock, because I do not want our students to go through undue exam stress, because as you know, most students, they start preparations just 2 weeks or a week before the exam. that's not too good, because you won't have time. Even if you attempt all 5 mock exams within within 2 weeks, you won't have time to understand your shortcomings and overcome them. Okay, so that's exactly why we want you guys to stick to our study plan, because if you do, as you can see, a week before the exam, you are relaxing because you are simply referring to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 5 and rereading the annotated pre-scene. You are not attempting any mocks. You are not trying to come up with or develop answer plans on your own. Everything is handled by us. What you need to do on a weekly basis is just find 3 hours of your time and attempt a mock on a weekly basis. So if you are yet to start attempting mocks, you have to attempt at least 2 mocks per week, because remember, you just have 3 weeks at your disposal. It's not too late, but it's of utmost importance that you start right now, or else you'll panic, and panic leads to destruction. And destruction is you failing the exam. Okay, and I want you guys to stop preparations a day prior to the exam. Sleep, eat, and rest well. All these things will be highlighted in a while. And if you're yet to, you know, join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, please click on this button. You can easily join it. All right, so that's about what we offer. So moving on to the second part of tonight's webinar, I said that I'll highlight tips pertaining to what you need to do to develop confidence. So what are you supposed to do before the exam to improve your confidence? You have to stick to the study plan which we have provided. So I know for a fact that out of the students who had invested on the premium package, uh, 2 students had already attempted until mock number 2. So they are headed in the correct direction. So in the upcoming week, they are only supposed to attempt mock number 3 and 4. So they have enough time at their disposal. So if you had already stuck to the study plan, you need not worry too much. But if you are yet to start, then please go through the study plan which we have provided. You just have 3 weeks, so you have to adjust the study plan which you have provided so that it fits a 3-week schedule. Okay, so that's that, and refer to the study plan via the website. And it's better to stick to a routine at least within the 3 upcoming weeks, because you need to wake up and sleep at a stipulated time period. And on top of that, if you feel that you cannot wake up and sleep at a stipulated time period, work or focus on getting your daily meal intake on time. So you have to have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a predetermined time. And if you do, you'll fall asleep, as well as you will wake up early in the morning. So it's better to stick to a routine, because if not, you will not be in a position to balance your studies with your job, with your corporate responsibilities. Okay, because especially if you wait until the last 2 weeks or the last week, definitely you won't have enough time. So it's better to start now. And if you finding it hard to stick to a study plan, try to come up with a routine at least for the upcoming 3 weeks. Okay, and when practicing mocks, what are you supposed to do? Practice all 5 mocks under simulated exam conditions. So you can utilize, if you attempt the mock exams via our exam platform, that's exactly what you are doing. You are trying to create a simulated or practice exams under simulated exam conditions. And you, whenever attempting mock exams, you have to do it in isolation, because that's what you will do at your real exam. So try to replicate a real life situation, simulate an exam situation. Okay, so try to let go of any unnecessary disturbances when attempting your mock exams, and stick to the exam technique routine, where you are supposed to allocate 30 minutes to read the question and develop an answer plan, as well as 30 minutes to type the answers. All right, so what are you supposed to do to maintain a positive attitude on the day of the exam? So on the day of the exam, once you wake up, try to rest your mind and body. So, it's better to actually stop all your work a day prior to the exam. So if your exam is happening, let's assume your exam is happening on the 20th of February, 20th of May, then what you need to do is you have to stop all your work by the 18th of May. So take a day off. Why? Because you are playing the role of a senior finance manager, and it's as if you are walking into office on a Monday. So when you're walking into office on a Monday, if you had not slept properly, if you haven't had your breakfast, and if you were drunk the last day, then you can't focus. If you are up the entire night going through mock exams, or in a real life corporate environment, it's as if you are checking your email and going through reports and whatnot, early morning before walking into office. So this is unnecessary stress. And as a senior finance manager, you will take the best decisions when your brain as well as your body is relaxed. So I need you guys to create a similar situation at your real exam. If so, you will come up with high quality answers. So do not refer to any study material, mocks, or answer plans, on the day of the exam, because that's going to be a distraction. Because as a senior finance manager who walks into office, until you check your emails, you won't know the type of problems the company is facing. You won't know about the type of opportunities the company is faced with. So, you know, there's absolutely no point of trying to predict the type of questions or the theoretical elements which can be tested. That's the responsibility of the examiner. Your responsibility is to do your work and prepare yourself properly, rather than waiting until the last moment. Because as I told you earlier, as per our study plan, we want you guys to stop preparations a day prior to the exam, sleep, eat, and rest well, because we want to ensure that you'll operate as prudent senior finance managers, and think that you are the senior finance manager at Daistruct. So as a senior finance manager, uh, I told you, you need to have an outside in approach whenever arriving at decisions, or whenever you are recommending something. So you need to have a similar mindset on the day of the exam, and try to let go of negativity. It's not easy, because however much prepared you are, if you are personally, if you look at your personality, if you're anxious when facing a challenging exam, then you would feel negative on the day of the exam. You will start doubting yourself. These things happen even if you have prepared yourself fully. I can remember, I myself, up until the operational level, I was really scared to face CIMA exams, because if I'm being honest with you, these exams are not easy. If CIMA was the CIMA exams were easy, then everybody will be doing it. Okay. But only the cream within the business environment or corporate environments would do CIMA. Why? Because it's so hard. So on the day of the exam, you would feel negative, but always remind yourself that you have done your work. Whenever you feel negative, you have to remind yourself, okay, look here, I've stuck to these the study plan which these guys provided. I attempted 5 mock exams. I've developed answer plans. I've practiced the time management technique. What more do you need? Okay, you can always remind yourself about what we have achieved so far in your preparations, which will be beneficial when it comes to getting rid of unnecessary negativity on the day of the exam. But you can only do this if you had done your preparations properly. If you had done just 1 or 2 mock exams before the exam, if you feel negative, yeah, then God help you, because you can't lie to yourself. Then try to be open minded, because as a SFM you need to be open minded, because if you're thinking about a certain theoretical concept or type of questions which can be thrown at you, you are not open minded enough. Because as I told you earlier, as a senior finance manager, if you are to operate at your fullest capacity, there shouldn't be any type of direction in the way in which you take your decisions. Instead, you have to consider the information and take the most prudent decision. Okay, so in order to achieve this, you have to be open minded. And during the exam, what are you supposed to do? Because there's absolutely no point of being all positive before the exam, but at the exam day, if you feel negative or whatever, or if your level of confidence is low, then it does not make any sense. So during the exam, in order to maintain confidence, stick to the exam technique routine. That's the first step. So at the exam, allocate 30 minutes to read and develop answer plans and 30 minutes to type your answers. And even if you do this, definitely you'll feel stressed at the exam, especially because out of the three tasks, one will be a bit hard because, as I told you earlier, this paper is not easy. So the examiner specifically will try to throw you off balance by sending an extremely hard question towards you. Okay, so in such a context, you need not feel too pressured. Stick to the technique or the routine, exam technique routine, which we have highlighted. And on top of that, if you feel stressed, drink some water, because then you are relaxing your mind and your body. And on top of that, close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes. You might think that I'm stupid to say these things, because you might see this 2 minutes as a time wastage. That is not actually the case, because if you stick to a study plan, not the study plan, rather, if you stick to our answer planning and time management technique, you would figure out that you actually do not need 60 minutes to develop answers. So on an if you consider an average, a student who keeps on practicing these answer planning and time management techniques will encounter a situation where you are done with the answer for each task within 50 minutes. You won't take 60 minutes. So you would have some time to check the accuracy of your answer as well. So that's exactly why I'm saying that you can easily keep away 2 minutes on a task by task basis if you're feeling stressed, because whenever the human brain is going through some type of stress or negativity, there's this certain part within our brain which is known as the amygdala. The amygdala kicks in, and when the amygdala starts functioning, all rationality goes out of the picture. We will not be making rational decisions. Instead, we'll be making emotional decisions. So when running a business as a senior finance manager, you are not supposed to take emotional decisions, because if you do, then you might be headed in the wrong direction, and you end up let pressure get the better of you. Okay, so in order to avoid a situation like that, or in order to avoid a situation where your amygdala kicks in, or to shut down your amygdala rather, what you need to do is you need to focus on your breathing. If you focus on your breathing, the amygdala shuts down. Then again, the rational thinking parts of the brain will start functioning. So you need to do these things, because the examiner will try to pressurize you by having a certain subtask which you are really clueless about. Highly unlikely if you attempt all 5 mock exams, yet under exam pressure you might forget a certain area, but there's absolutely nothing to worry, because you just need 80 marks to pass. You need not gain 150 marks out of 150. Instead, you just need to get 54% to pass the exam, or just 80 marks out of 150 to pass. So uh, whenever some type of subtask which is extremely hard is thrown at you, don't get phased by it. Instead, keep moving forward, because you can always end up losing a certain amount of marks, rather than letting the stress get to you and screwing up the entire exam. And try to give your best shot. And when it comes to achieving this, the best way to do it is when developing answer plans, because as I told you earlier, when you are developing answer plans, you are allocating some time to think. And if you are to give your best shot, you have to think before you start typing your answers. And it's better to be open minded, because as SFM, you have to be open minded, so that you adopt something called an outside in approach. Okay, then you have to avoid these deflections, because if you stick to these things, or if you try to do these things, you would be wasting your time. You simply have 3 weeks until your exam, so time is of essence. It's of utmost importance that you spend your time on relevant or activities which adds value to your exam preparation process, rather than simply wasting your time by trying to do unnecessary things. So overemphasis on exam blueprint, you need not go through the exam blueprint, because via the four webinars which we have conducted, we have covered the entire exam blueprint. And on top of that, over reliance on predictions. I've seen so many tutors out there predicting about probable exam scenarios, but we at TCS, we do not believe in it, because as an SFM, as I told you earlier, you are not in a position to forecast what is going to happen within the industry and how it's going to affect your company. So don't focus on predictions. Instead, stick to the study techniques or the study processes which we have highlighted. That's the only thing which you need to do. Okay. Excessive industry analysis is a killer, because there's absolutely no point of gathering hordes and hordes of information about industry dynamics. I've seen students conducting pestle analysis, SWOT analysis, as well as Porter's five forces analysis based on the industry. All these things are unnecessary. That's exactly why you can't see pest, SWOT, and five forces analysis as part of our study material, because this is a professional qualification which is totally different from an academic qualification. So whenever you are taking a decision, you are not supposed to have a rigid approach, or develop answers which are 100% theory based. Instead, you need to bring in theory to add value to your answer and apply this theory to a problem faced by the company. So excessive industry analysis is leads to time wastage and misguided use of past papers. This is a major issue faced by most students, because you know um, students think that by going through past papers they can easily pass the exam, which is not the case, because the past papers are based on different case studies, and the information which is highlighted within your pre-scene or your case study are not similar to any of the case studies which we had seen so far. So in such a context, if you attempt mock exams, if you attempt the past papers which are based on different precedes, there's absolutely nothing for you to gain from such a process. Instead, you have to ensure that you attempt exam standard mocks, as well as you attempt or you go through pre-seen relevant study material. And information overload is a killer, so simply stick to the steps which you have mentioned. Don't try to do anything else, because closer to the exam, I've seen most students trying to do everything under the sun. Just on a weekly basis, it's just a matter of having to attempt mock exams. Everything else is handled by us. So that's the type of guidance as well as convenience which we offer. You need not do anything. Instead, simply attempt a mock on a weekly basis. Theory coverage, improving your application skills, ensuring that your answering technique improves, ensuring that you learn the logic of all the answers. All these things are covered via the master classes which we are conducting. All right, so you might be attempting the exam at home. After COVID, CIMA gave this opportunity. So if you are doing it at home, it's of importance that you go through the CIMA exam information page. Mind you that the CIMA website is you're going through an integration these days, and it's down for some time. It's been down for the past couple of days, but there's absolutely nothing to worry. It will be up soon, and once it is up, go to this link and read the content thoroughly before the exam, because this highlights the technicalities or the technical nitty-gritties pertaining to the Pearson VUE system. And you are supposed to try out the CIMA exam platform and try to get your bearings with it by following the guidelines mentioned. I do not want you guys to go through the exam platform on the day of the exam. Instead, try to do this a week before. Okay. All right, so let me remind you before we finish tonight's session, let me remind you about our pass rate. So we have achieved a 96% pass rate overall, and the individuals who purchased our premium package, the pass rate is 100%. So if you stick to our study plan, utilize our material, and attempt 5 mock exams, and practice the answering and time management techniques which we have highlighted, you can definitely pass the exam comfortably. All right. Any questions, guys, before we wind up? Any questions? So you might have started attempting mocks. So in such a context, you might have encountered certain issues. If you need solutions, you can raise your concerns now. All right. Seems like there aren't any questions. So I'm going to conclude the session. Before I do that, let me remind you about how you can contact us. You can simply drop us a message via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or email us at info@study@tcs.com, or drop us a message on our WhatsApp number. And also, we urge you guys to follow us on our socials, or the social media handles, especially go through the blog posts which we have prepared. You can access these blog posts within the website itself, which highlights the technical nitty-gritties, so the technicalities which are needed to ensure that you pass the exam comfortably. So all these articles have been prepared by us. And on top of that, I hope you have already gone through the TikTok videos which we have shared with you. If I'm not mistaken, we have shared all three. If not, please do mention it on the WhatsApp group. If you are yet to get your hands on the three TikTok videos, then I'll reshare them. So via these three TikTok videos, we have summarized the entire pre-scene within something like 9 minutes. So on a daily basis, you simply have 3 weeks until your exam. So on a daily basis, keep watching these TikTok videos to ensure that you remember the most important points which are highlighted within your pre-scene. So all these things are provided free of charge with the intention of ensuring that you possess the necessary knowledge and skills to improve your chances of passing your SCS exam. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the final webinar conducted for the upcoming SCS sessions happening in May. And if you have invested on the premium package, please remember that this Thursday or the coming Thursday, I will be conducting the masterclass for SCS Mock 3. And stick to the study plan. Even if you have even if you are not receiving any tutor feedback or any tutor support, that's totally fine. Simply stick to the study plan which we have provided, and try to ensure that you develop a high level of confidence both before the exam, as well as maintain the same level of confidence at the exam. So try to stick to the guidelines which we provided. So having said that, it brings us to the end of tonight's session. Thank you very much for joining in. I wish you all the very best, and I wish that you will pass your exam in the first sitting itself. Thank you very much, and good night.